Welcome to the Everything Podcast, and in this episode, I'm going to be recapping or reviewing or reacting. I can't remember which word I use. No, just keep changing it. Reacting to the Traitors UK season 4. So please be warned that this episode will contain spoilers from the Traitors UK season 4. So if you're planning to watch it, please watch it, and then come back after, so you don't get spoiled. But if you have watched it or don't plan on watching it, then please feel free to stick around. And if you are planning on watching it and kind of want to be spoiled a little bit, then that's fine. So just spoiler warning there. But yeah, before I talk about the Traitors UK season 4 specifically, I'll talk about the Traitors and the Traitors UK as well. So the Traitors is a format developed by Studio Lambert, where basically it's a massive murder mystery where a few people are called the traitors, who have to metaphorically murder people every night, and the rest are the faithful, and kind of the traitors have to choose someone to kill. They can't kill themselves. Yeah, that kind of would kind of be, and kind of there's a prize pot aspect to it as well. And if just traitors stay, they steal the money basically, whereas if it's all faithfuls, then they split it evenly. And even in the 4 seasons of the show, it's kind of there's been both in the UK. I've not watched any of the other versions. I don't think my blood pressure could sustain it. But what was I going to say? Could sustain it, but it there are loads of other versions. Basically, in every English-speaking country, so obviously there's a UK version, there's an Ireland version, there's a UK version, there's an Australia version, and there's a New Zealand version. There might be even more versions that I'm not aware of, but those are the ones that I am. So, I think most people on Earth know of, or at least have heard of the Traitors. So now specifically the UK one, and then we'll go on to season 4. So the Traitors UK is hosted by Claudia Winkleman, which if you're in the UK, she's best known for used to co-present Strictly. She's decided, alongside her co-host Tess Daly, to finish and leave that show, but she has got a chat show coming up as well. But yeah, obviously she does she hosts both the civilian traitors and the celebrity traitors, which I will talk about at the end. But kind of how it's been. Seasons 2, 3 and 4 have released at January at the start of the year. I think season 1, I didn't watch it, but I've watched season 2, 3, 4 and the celebrity season. Was released I think a little bit before. I think it was before Christmas instead of after, I think. Or they released, but kind of around that January, so just after Christmas. So the last couple of years, the first episode has been released on New Year's Day, which is a nice thing. But yeah, and kind of the release pattern in the UK is 3 episodes a week. And it's not released on a streaming service beforehand on BBC iPlayer in the UK. You have to wait every day, which kind of makes it must watch. So for the final, I wasn't able to watch it live. I do try and watch all the episodes as close to live as possible, more out of the fact that I don't get spoiled it. I did the same when Doctor Who was doing a similar thing, so I didn't get spoiled. Whereas if something's on a streaming service like Bridgerton, for example, like all the episodes there, the chance of you being spoiled is a lot higher. And but it's all the episodes, so it does operate slightly differently. Now on to season 4, specifically now, because that's what the reaction is, not just we're already 4 minutes in, which is longer than both of the episodes that I've recorded previously today, that if you're listening will probably have released before this. If you're watching, who knows, I leave that up to Matt. And basically what happens is I send the episodes over. I deal with the Spreaker side, and Matt deals with the YouTube and Rumble side and social media and shorts and all that stuff. It's just what was I going to say? Yeah, season 4 again, all throughout January. The finale was on the as I said, I wasn't able to watch it live, so I actually woke up really early Saturday morning, not on purpose, and I watched it. And I did need a little bit of time to calm down after what happened. So kind of But let's start episode 1 again, kind of, because trying to remember 12 episodes, and bear in mind it's been like 3 weeks since then, so I'm going to try and remember what happens in a somewhat chronological order. But episode 1, obviously we meet everyone. It's a bit longer than the normal episodes because of that, apart from the finale. Most of the episodes, so we meet everyone, and then the traitors are picked. So the traitors that were picked, the ones that the audience saw, were Rachel, Hugo and Stephen, and then a secret traitor was picked that the audience didn't find out in the first week. I will get to that. And the traitors didn't know about the secret traitors when they were picked, so they had to wear blindfolds, so obviously that wouldn't be the point of the show, otherwise the faithful would go, oh, you're the traitor, to see audience action, which kind of wouldn't be the point of the game, and all sorts. But yeah, and Hugo, especially when the Claudia told the traitor thing, Hugo is not very happy with this specifically. But yeah, kind of, I mentioned murders before. What also happens in the show is people get banished as well. That's how we get, normally in the evening. There was once during season 4 when it was in the morning for some reason, but during the evening, seemingly because it kind of finishes off the episode, and sometimes the cliffhanger is who's been banished, especially when the chest of chance, which I will get onto. What was I going to say? I was going to say something. I can't remember. That's kind of not helpful in an audio medium, but there we go. Because it was the chest of chance, because I was trying to remember, because there was 2 occasions of it, and I couldn't remember who the first one was. I know the second one was back to cliffhangers. But yeah, back to the episode. So kind of, as I said, 4 traitors were chosen, which isn't normally. Normally it's 3. But yeah, kind of. There's a loads of twists and turns, so I think the first, I can't remember who got, this is the problem because of how earlier, if I'd actually thought about it, what I probably should have done is I should have done like 4 recaps, kind of, instead of doing it all in one block and causing Matt to have a breakdown when he sees the length of this episode. The episode, after the first week I should have done 1, and then week 2, 3, 4, because it's kind of all merged in my head with the 12 episodes. I struggled. If you watched my reaction to The War Between the Land and the Sea, they're very similar. I think that was only across 2 weeks, never mind 4. It's what was I going to say? It's so it's quite difficult for me to remember, but I will. But yeah, kind of I should make this clear back to the banishment thing, that both faithful and traitors can be banished, but only faithfuls can be murdered. But yeah, kind of a few faithfuls get banished. The first, I think it was Judy, who we find out relatively early on has a secret relationship with Roxy as well. Judy is Roxy's adopted mum. Which we find out she gets banished first, and then Ben gets murdered. I can't remember if it's episode 2 or 3. See, this is what happens. And Hugo, as I mentioned earlier, is a traitor, and he kind of really goes, that's mean. I should mention that Hugo has mentioned that he is a barrister. Harriet is also an ex-barrister, but has chosen to keep that secret, which does kind of make sense. And then kind of, I think the end of episode 3, it's they banish Hugo, and Hugo reveals he's a traitor, because apart from the finale, when you're banished you reveal if you're faithful or a traitor. So yes, that was good, because I was slightly worried coming into season 4. Bear in mind, the celebs, they were blooming pants with finding traitors. They got 1 out of 3. Spoilers for that. Alan Carr, who was a traitor, won the 87,000, I think it was. But yeah, it's and Kat was also in the finale as well. So I was kind of worried that they wouldn't get any traitors. And then into the second week, but before that, I should mention that within the episodes there is the murders, there's the banishments, where there's basically discussion, like it's a huge table. and there is the missions as well, which are basically physical activities. Now, some of them aren't too bad, and some of them I'm like, I couldn't do that. So especially the one in the finale. I know I keep mentioning the finale, and I will get to it, I promise. But yeah, it's just there's some of them are crazy, like running up hills and chariots and pushing things and all sorts. But yeah, I think that because as we're now 4 seasons in, I think everybody knows what's going to happen in those. They are very physical. But the twist is that the prize pot is both the traitors and the faithful. So the traitors can't sabotage the missions because then they lose money and then they will get better because people will notice that they're traitors. So it's just there's loads involving water. I can't remember what episode it is. I think it might be a bit later than when I'm talking. Is one with fountain, and it starts spraying, and Claudia kind of fronts away because of the water. So it tends to be something between water or heights or running. Usually it's one of those 3 things usually, or there's a really scary one in a cabin, which really wasn't for me. I think that was episode 7 possibly, or 8. You see I'm going a bit backwards and forwards and all sorts. But then, onto the secret traitor. So at the episode 4, the audience and Stephen and Rachel, because Hugo's been banished, discover that Fiona is the secret traitor, which they are shocked by. And then in episode 5, the first chest of chance happens. Now I can't remember who Amanda's against. Now if you've watched it recently or rewatched it, please remind me in the comments below who was up against Amanda. But Amanda gets banished. But before that, Amanda tells Rachel that she is a retired police detective, because there's loads of people in the show go, oh, I'm not going to say what my job is. But Amanda decides to tell Rachel because she trusts her, even though Rachel's a traitor. And then Rachel tells everyone this after Amanda gets banished, I think. And Fiona believes Rachel is lying. She doesn't believe Rachel's lying. She just doesn't trust Rachel, as we find out later. And a huge explosion happens in episode 5, which leads into episode 6, where basically it's Rachel and Fiona going one-on-one. But back to the round table. Sometimes it's quite obvious who's going to go, like Hugo, like Fiona, and some of them actually surprised me. Which I'm trying not to spoil the finale, because let's say you've watched, that's why I'm trying to do it in chronological-ish order, so that if you get to if you only watch particular episodes, you can go, okay, that's when that, so I don't get spoiled, so I can watch the last episodes or whatever. So and then episode 6, Fiona gets banished, reveals she's a traitor. Faithful or happy, hooray. Then into episode, then it starts going a bit downhill for the Faithful, as I'll get on to in a minute. Then week 3, so that's episodes 7 till 9. They are released Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, so there are 3 episodes kind of within a 49-hour chunk. It's the Faithful just kept getting banished and murdered and all sorts. So there was murders in plain sight, with Stephen and Rachel having to put things on family trees, and it's just, and Stephen and Rachel continuously chose not to recruit, because kind of the rules is that there has to be at least 2 traitors, and because there was only Stephen and Rachel, then after Hugo and Fiona got banished, they had that choice. If they wanted to recruit, they could, but they kept saying no because they were trusted. And then I can't remember what episode it is. I think it's episode 9. No, I don't think. Was it 6? It wasn't. Was it after Fiona? I don't think it was. I can't remember. Who knows? I can't remember. I don't know why I can't remember. There was a confessional dial. There's a mission, and basically the reward is to talk to the traitors, which, as Claudia mentions, has never been done before. Which allows them to talk to the traitors as well. And then what happens? So Harriet and Matty win. Now, Matty, I'm going to talk Matty first because Matty went first. Matty basically said to the traitors, recruit me. And he wanted to trust the traitors, which, bear in mind, they have to vow to lie and deceive and loads of stuff. Um, whereas by asking them to murder Jesse, which they then do. But Harriet goes, now this was like, there's Traitors is sometimes is quite tense, especially at the round tables. But this was like right out of left field. Back to Harriet got Hugo out, and then she kind of names Rachel, so she believes that Rachel is a traitor, which is obviously correct. And obviously Stephen and Rachel do that, so she doesn't ask them any questions really. Because you get 2 questions, I should have mentioned that as well. And Harriet goes, "Oh yeah, it was something about would you sacrifice Rachel?" And Stephen writes yes, which ends up not happening. Get onto that later. But yeah, that confession that was bonkers. Now, I did watch the Traitors UK season 1. I've not watched any of the seasons outside the UK, so I've watched series 2, 3, and 4, and the celebrity in between 3 and 4. And I've never seen anything like it. It was bonkers, but that's kind of the point. Like, I don't tend to watch much live TV, and yes, because of when I was working, I would normally start the episode about half an hour late, which, to be honest, is I didn't particularly mind. Like, there's nothing I could do about it, because the distance it takes me, because I don't drive to get from work to home to then watching the Traitors. After a day at work, having to concentrate, like it was, and then having to concentrate on that, and like going, whoa, what's going on here? But yeah, that confession where she calls out Rachel, basically saying, "Oh, and I should mention that there's sometimes some like you can win shields, and therefore you don't get murdered or specific people," and that's why Harriet was so confident, because her exact words or something along those lines were, "You should have killed me when you had the chance," because they didn't. So the next morning, because Harriet knew she had been murdered, Harriet comes clean to her about her job to the rest of the faithful, and then goes about Rachel and believing she's a traitor at the round table. And basically what she ends up doing is she kind of is willing to sacrifice herself. So she goes, "Vote me and you'll find out that I'm a faithful," which is what ends up happening. So that's one of the first scrapes that Rachel goes in. Jesse, who gets murdered at some point around this time, has this theory with certain configurations about people dying, and gets put on Ross, who we then find out has a secret relationship with Ellie, their boyfriend and girlfriend, or in a couple. It wasn't particularly... I know it was boyfriend and girlfriend. Ellie confirmed it in the show. Yeah, it was bonkers with secret relationships, and there's... is that it? It was only 2. Yeah, there wasn't any more. And that there was loads of like job things and all sorts. But yeah, Jesse kind of had this theory that was proven right by Fiona being banished, and then people will go in and Stephen was go, "Oh, that makes sense," because basically part as back to the Traitors vow, they basically have to agree to lie and manipulate and all of those kind of not great things that you're not going to do in real life, are you? You're not going to try and convince something to someone that isn't true purposely so. And then yeah, and Jesse kind of goes it. So then Stephen kind of puts a target on his back by agreeing with Rachel to murder Jesse, and then they learn that. But that gets skated off somehow. There's things with the cages, back to that family tree plain sight murder thing. Yeah, they all get put in cages, and Stephen came back, and who else? There was somebody else. The thought that Reese, poor Reese, to be honest, and Jade actually, but I'll speak about Reese first. Reese was continuously that's who it was with. There we go, well done, Brain. That's who Amanda lost Chester Chance to, Reese. And Reese is thought to be a faithful, so the next day the Traitors decide to kill him, which they believe is a mercy killing. I don't agree with that, but okay. Probably wouldn't even go on the show because it would do my brain in, and even if so, I certainly wouldn't be a traitor. That would just stress me out too much. But yeah, with that, Reese just kept being thought to be a traitor for no reason. I think it was a similar thing to Stephen with the cages things and stuff like that. So he gets murdered, and a similar thing with Jane, which is all based on Amanda's job. And Rachel keeps bringing this up. Obviously, Rachel knows that Jade isn't a traitor because she is with Stephen. So it's one of those. Then we go into, I think, the final week. So obviously this is all the missions are, as I said, a variety of things. There's the horror one, and there's boats and heights and stuff. But yeah, into the last week, kind of we're down to a few numbers. Episodes, the final week, I'm going to try and do them kind of conglomerate, because the episode's already 20 minutes long, so kind of want Matt to actually have time to not just be doing my episode that day, so I'm going to try and go through it as quickly as I can. But episode 10, how does that happen? I can't remember. Someone must get murdered or banished, they've got to. And then episode 11, there's a mission where everyone has a chance to stop the murder, the traitors committing their final murder. And obviously the traitors, Steve and Rachel, kind of do that, and they allow that to happen, which is to pretend and make the faithfuls believe that they're faithful as well. But yeah, kind of what happens at the now we're going to focus on the finale. So at the end of episode 11, what happens is the Chest of Chance come back, because basically what happens is they vote for who they believe is a traitor, and if there are two people on a draw, they vote again, but can only vote out of those two people. And if that happens, Chest of Chance happens. Now, the first time this hasn't been seen in the UK version of the Traitors up until the celebrity version. So we managed 3 seasons without no need for Chest of Chance. I think we got to like a deadlock the first time round, but they managed to sort it out the second. But then within the space of a celebrity series and season 4, like there's 3 games of Chest of Chance. This is between Rachel and James. Now I can't remember who went for Rachel. Who was it? I can't remember. It wasn't Stephen. It was somebody else. It was about kind of, I think it was to do with that Rachel Fiona fight, and people believe it. Oh, could it have been Traitor on Traitor? Which obviously it was. But Rachel is saved. Therefore, James gets banished. James reveals he's a faithful, which obviously now means that there was 5 people left. So it was Stephen, Rachel, Jade, Jack, and Faraz. So that is 3 faithfuls in Jack, Faraz, and Jade, and 2 traitors in Stephen and Rachel. So then going into the rest of the episode, which is an extended episode, it's an hour and 15. Normally the episodes is an hour long. It's a very interesting position, because out of 20 at the beginning, 22 people, 4 are traitors. That means 18 are faithful, which means that the faithful have the numbers advantage, but obviously they don't have the control of the murder. The traitors do. But yeah, it's quite interesting. It ended up like that, and then kind of there was a round table. The final mission. This was insane. So what they had to do was climb. No, yes, they had to. Oh yeah, they had to. This kind of merged everything. We're talking about water, height, and running. So they have to. There's a couple of parts to this one. That it was. There was a couple of pontoons with money, and they had to go to it. But if it was green, they could get it. If it was red, they'd lost the money. They achieved 9,000 out of a possible 10,000. But then Claudia gives them like a bonus mission of if they can get down the dam, because they had to go and give it to Claudia to get down in 5 minutes, that she'd add another 10, which they did. Hooray! Even though most of them are scared of heights, I'm not too bad, unless like glass floors. No, certainly no way. But like if climbing walls, not particularly. But if like a zip wire, I'd be fine probably. But yeah, that was. I was stressed even watching it, but they managed. So I think the prize part at the end was 95,000, and then from in the finale, this is something that only came to force from season 3. So from season 3, the celebrity version, and season 4 and onwards, they can. They don't find out if the banished player is a faithful or a traitor in the finale. You just have to guess. Obviously, the audience know, but the players don't. So the so I think Jade. Is it Jade that gets out? Yeah, Jade gets out first. Obviously, that's a faithful gone. So then that leaves it to 4. and then they banish. Or is that? Oh no, it's final four. So, and then the what happens then it's the end game, which basically Claudia has these ceremonial pouches that each player has, and if it's green, then they choose to end the game. If it's red, they banish again. Obviously, the rules about them not finding out if the traitor or faithful still stands, and kind of the first time round, they all choose to banish again. Jack is now very suspicious of Rachel, but they decide to, because of how numbers work, and obviously Rachel and Stephen are traitors 2 beats 1. Yeah, because I think Faraz voted Stephen or something. So it was that 2. So that meant that Faraz leaves, which obviously leaves Stephen and Rachel 2 traitors versus Jack as the one faithful. Now, the game automatically ends with 2 when 2 players are left, which meant that at least one of the traitors will win, Stephen or Rachel. But the interesting question was, because there was a pact that Stephen and Rachel made that they wouldn't write each other's names down, so they wouldn't betray each other, basically. And Stephen stuck to that, which was kind of going into the final couple of episodes, 11 and 12 really. We were kind of, is Stephen going to stick by it? And he does. So therefore the Stephen and Rachel share the money, because there is a couple of chances in that last week that if Stephen wanted to, he could have betrayed Rachel. Like in that, James wouldn't have been banished if Stephen had voted Rachel, and if he wanted all the money, because obviously he was kind of managed. How both of them, or even one of them, managed to stay in the game. But as Claudia put it, this hasn't been done before. I've not watched season 1, so I assume nothing like that happened. But seasons 2, 3 and the Celebrity, nothing like that were kind of a pact of I'll never write the name down. Normally traitors throw each other under the bus all the time, so that was an interesting change. But yeah, it's just what was I going to say? It's just a very different way, and they stick to it. So as Claudia says, for 2 traitors, they were faithful to each other. They each got, I think it was 47,950 or something, because it was 95,000 and there was a bunch of numbers. I think it ended with a 5 or something. That's where the 50p comes from, to splitting odd numbers and stuff. So yeah, that's kind of my recap, which is currently looking at 27 minutes, so apologies Matt in advance. But yeah, let me know what you thought of the Traitors UK Season 4 if you watched it. If not, my reaction. And if you weren't thinking of watching it, has my reaction changed your mind? But without further ado, I will see you in a future episode of the podcast. See you then. Goodbye.